Do you know why you do what you do? Do you like what you do? What motivation is it that you have for doing it? Whether it's your job or your community service, volunteering, or serving in the church, the kingdom of God, it's important to have the right motivation for doing these things. If you don't, you'll lack in those things. You'll become lazy. You'll lose that desire or passion to do those things. And that's actually exactly what Paul's talking about in Romans chapter 12 and verse 11, where he says, "Do not be slothful in zeal, be fervent in spirit, serve the Lord." Paul says, don't be lazy, but instead with a passion, a burning desire within, serve God. So why is it that so often we become lazy in our service to God? So often we lose that burning desire, that passion. Well, I think it's because of our motivation. It's not because we're not able to do those things or we don't have the abilities or talents, but lacking service is due to lacking motivation. Our motivation is pointed in the wrong direction so often. Our focus a lot of times is on self-glory and self-praise. It's about how many likes or shares we can get on social media. But whenever we work for more likes, then we won't like to work. These are lacking motivations, and lacking motivations breeds lacking work. So we need to shift our focus for why we do what we do so that we like to do what we do. Being fervent means to have a passion, a burning desire. And Paul says we should have that to serve the Lord. So what motivations does the Bible give us to serve God with a burning passion? While I believe the Bible gives us many motivations, I want to focus on just two for our short time today. The first is Paul tells us that we are to be living sacrifices by the mercies of God. 1 John 4:19 says, "We love because God first loved us." You see, we serve because Jesus first served us. And we're merciful because God was first merciful and forgiving toward us. What greater motivation is there to serve God and not become lazy than because of the great gift that He has given us, His mercy, His grace, salvation in Jesus? There is no greater motivation than this. But the second motivation that we have is found in Matthew chapter 5, verses 13 through 16. Jesus here says that you are the salt of the earth, the light of the world. You see, the salt, it flavors and it purifies, it penetrates. And the light, of course, it expels any darkness. But Jesus tells us the purpose for why we are the salt, why we are the light in verse 16. He says, "So let your light shine, so that you will do good works to glorify the Father." You see, the whole point of letting our light shine is so that we do good works to honor and praise and glorify the one who gave us the opportunity and the ability to do those works. Our motivation for being fervent, having a burning passion and desire to serve God, our motivation for not becoming lazy is to do good works for the purpose of serving God, of glorifying Him, because of all the great mercy and grace and forgiveness that He has given us. We talk about burnout a lot of times, not only burnout with ministers, but we talk about burnout with the church in general. And the reason why burnout is so prevalent is because oftentimes there's nothing burning within. There's no burning passion within us because we're too focused looking at ourselves instead of looking at the sacred. And when we're too busy looking down at how great we are, we won't be able to look up to the Father and how great He is. So we have to shift our focus and shift our motivation, change our why for what we do. We serve God because He has given us so much. We're the light of the world because we want to glorify His name. In a time like right now where we're all laid up at home in this quarantine and we're stuck and we're trying to figure out technology and all the many changes in ministry and in life in general, it's easy for us to become lazy, become lacking, become discouraged. It's easy for us to start saying things like, nobody appreciates my work, nobody's paying attention, nobody's viewing the videos I'm making or sharing these things or liking these things. I've been guilty of it myself. But the thing is when we start asking those questions or saying those comments, then we start to have the wrong motivation for serving God and doing what we do. And we have to change that motivation. And when we change our motivation to serving God because we follow the greatest commandment to love the Father with everything we are, and the second, to love our neighbor as ourselves, then we won't be worried about all of the things around us. We'll be worried about pleasing the Father. And so that's exactly what we need to do. Keep on serving. Don't be slothful. Don't become lazy in zeal. But with a burning passion, serve the Lord.